What's up, y'all? Make a little quick story time, or not really, more of an informative thing. Um, I made a promise towards somebody, telling them about this managed service company in India called TCS, and why is it a good reason to consider getting to a place TCS long term. Um, if you guys don't know the term what managed service provider means, MSP, I think you should go look that up. As an MSP, what you're doing typically is, instead of having permanent, so-called permanent staff, what a company or a firm, what they'll do is they'll hire you. Let's say it's help desk. Let's say you're a platform engineer. Let's say you're doing software as a service support. Let's say you're doing API support. Let's say you're a business analyst. Let's say you're a system business analyst. That's kind of a distinction without a difference. They use a lot of word salad when it comes to quote unquote business analysts. System business analysts will deal more so with maybe SQL. They might deal with API support, but they'll do some of the same things that a business analyst will do. Point taken. TCS is pretty much, if you think about Cargill and a lot of the large corporations, they do the same thing at Cargill that if you buy a burger or if you drive a car, TCS has something to do with it if it's in India. So I worked at TCS for a Boston Scientific contract and a Cargill contract at one point in time. And it's almost like a government contract if you stay with them. You might be at TCS for a number of years. You might have people where, let's say you have a company like Ameriprise, or let's say you have a company like 3M. I'm trying to think. The state of Minnesota, I don't think they typically use TCS, but a lot of the big Fortune 500 companies. I got a brain fog, so I'm a little tired, you guys, but a lot of the Fortune 500 companies, some of them will use TCS as managed service contractors. A lot of the H-1B visas that they've been bringing people over to India, instead of hiring citizens here, they could get them cheaper over here, and they will bring them over here because they could get them for much less. You might be able to get 2-3 people for the price of me. So they got sued for that, and I got wrapped up in that lawsuit because, quote unquote, what they were doing is, there was a class action lawsuit against TCS because they were bringing in, they didn't call them Indians, they said Asians. You see, they called them Asians because, quote, India is demographically a part of Asia. You see, some people don't know that, but they specifically named Asia. You're only hiring people of Asian descent. And that's what they were doing. They were hiring probably like 85, 98% of people with Asian descent, mostly people from India. So what they were doing is they weren't hiring that many other people. So they got into a class action lawsuit. I got a letter, and I guess I didn't follow up about it, but everybody was supposed to get a check. I think I forgot about it because I was getting money elsewhere. But I got a check. I got a letter in the mail saying you're part of this class action lawsuit. And I really didn't, think about it too much, but they got in trouble for that. There was a position that just came through that I sent to a brother the other day, and I told him, I said, they don't pay the greatest all the time, but you could get a lot of experience and you could gain a lot of different skill sets and be able to move around different places. So when you get ready to go to your next position, once you acquire the skill set you want and you done put in the work you wanted, you could get maybe another contract at a different rate, or, once you leave there. Now, it's best to contract with them because once you get hired with them as permanent, they won't bring you back on. They got a real weird system. They won't bring you back on. You can't even work with them as a TCS contractor anymore if you worked as a permanent employee of TCS. If they got rid of you for whatever reason it was, they won't bring you back in. Even if you left or whatever the case may be. And I've had a lot of recruiters tell me that. That if you had been there permanent before, they won't bring you back in as a contractor or a permanent hire, which is kind of crazy. And that sounds like another monopoly. I don't know. I don't know if it'll be another class action lawsuit, but I don't know. Something sounds very strange about that. But I think the first time that I worked with them, I did some help desk stuff, and then I left because the rates weren't good. It was earlier in my career. And then eventually I got asked to join another TCS contract. And at that point, it paid like $37 an hour. I was dealing with a Commvault migration, and I was also flying around different places, doing helping them. They had like they were selling their Cargill was selling their pork department. So what they would do is they would have me go from place to place with a um what kind of cable was that? It wasn't a coaxial cable. And it's a cable you plug into a router. It's called a what is the cable called? Let me look it up. Let me see a router cable. Hold on. Or a switch cable. It's called a. It's not a router cable. It's a Hold on. It's a network switch cable. Hold on. A console. I haven't said that in a minute. It's a console cable. You plug it into the back of your laptop, and then you plug it directly to the switch so they could desegregate the WAN and sell their port department. Cargill was selling their port department. So I had to go into these little weird little sundown town kind of towns 50 miles away. I had to go out to Iowa. That was a weird experience. I had to go to Missouri. I was supposed to have went to Texas. And I had to go to wasn't Midway, it was O'Hare. So instead of giving me a direct flight to Des Moines or a direct flight for Columbia, Missouri, what they would do is they'd have me connect to Chicago. So you see how I'm looking now, tired. I'll be tired as hell. Yeah, they had me. I had to wake up at like 3, 4 in the morning, drive out to downtown, to the Humphrey terminal in Minneapolis, and from there, I would um I would go to O'Hare and then fly out from there. That's how they connected me. So they would take care of those tickets, and they reimbursed me for the hotel. The first place that I went to, I think it was. I tell this story a lot to people, but I think the first place that I went to was Missouri, Columbia, Missouri. Beautiful place, big college town. And the airport is, you kind of feel like a little mini celebrity because the airport is, you walk up to the plane. That's how small the airport was. It was kind of cool. And I was treated okay when I got out there to that little hick town. I stopped and got me some snacks. They were selling liquor at the gas station, which kind of threw me off for a minute. And I was like, y'all sell liquor at the gas station? And they were like, where are you from? I said, I'm from Minnesota. They're like, oh, y'all don't sell liquor at the gas station? It was like a little gas station where they sell snacks. I was like 10 miles away from the hotel. I stopped and wanted to get some snacks and stuff. And so, I think I took a wrong turn and the GPS got janky, and it was some hills have eyes looking stuff out there in Missouri. I ain't gonna lie, I was scared. I was a little shook going out there because it just looked like the kind of place you wouldn't want to be caught at night. So when I got out there to the little, the site, the farm, I wonder, matter of fact, let me see how far. I'm trying to give y'all a picture of how far it was. Let me see. Cargill, Columbia, Missouri. Let me see if I could show y'all where it is. Man, that looked like a picture. Cargill, Columbia, Missouri. That's Marshall, Missouri. That's not where I was at. But there was a Cargill, Columbia, Missouri. It's not. It wasn't in Columbia. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find it out. I might even have it in my email. Cargill, Missouri. Yep, I do. Yeah, I do. Because I had some expenses. Let me open up this little expense thing. Give me a second, y'all. Because this might be kind of dope. I'm kind of going back into. All right, let's look at my expenses. I'll tell you exactly where I went. All right, here we go. Because they use this little thing called automatics or whatever the case may be. And then you had the reimbursement 1 day stay. Okay, hold on. Because I had to put the reimbursement software was so janky, it was crazy. Okay, yeah, so it was in Missouri. So I rented something I went to Enterprise at the airport in Columbia. I had one of the best steaks at this place too. There was this place in Columbia, Missouri. These Italian dudes was arguing over who was better between Tyson and Mayweather, and they gave me one of the best steaks. Hold on, damn, that's crazy. I got the receipts. So look, I stayed at the Holiday Inn Columbia East in Missouri. It was cool. It was cool. And I went to this place. I even got to Chicago International Airport. I ate somewhere called the Manchu Walk. What day was that? October 15th, 2015? Yeah. So, yep, here's the steakhouse. Let me see. George's Pizza and Steak. If you ever in Columbia, Georgia, or Columbia, Missouri, y'all gotta go to George's Pizza and Steak. The steak was huge. Because I remember when I flew in, I drove out to that site. It wasn't in Columbia. It was like 60 miles away. Oh man, that was some good. Man, these some good memories, man. Back then, I needed that for 2015 because 2015 was a rough year. I went to George's Pizza and Steak, 5695 East Clark Lane, Suite, Columbia. Where's my Missouri people at? If y'all been there, it was off the hook. Oh man, it was off the hook. Then I got Des Moines. I flew into Des Moines. So let's go back to Missouri real quick. So when I got into Columbia, Missouri. When I got there, it wasn't real dark, but when I got out to the site, it was starting to get dark. It was starting to get dark when I got out to the site, and I was only there maybe like 45 minutes. I had to tether my phone in order to connect to the VPN so the guys from India can log into the Cisco switch, desegregate the WAN network, and be out of there. So it's kind of, that was a TCS contract I was on. So that's why I'm telling y'all about that. So when I got to the steakhouse, that was at 9:06 p.m. So maybe around 8:30 or something, I was pulling into town from that town. But where was that town at? I don't know where that town. I can't remember where that town was at. But I thought I was gonna get the sundown treatment out there. That's what I thought. The way I was treated when I got to Iowa. When I got to Iowa, Des Moines, it was just 60 miles of cornfield. So I flew into Des Moines. The airport just feels real dead. And so Des Moines, it's a decent amount of black folks in Des Moines. So when I pull in, hopped off the plane, got my Enterprise rental, and I went to this Subway. I was a little hungry, so I grabbed a Subway sandwich. And I seen they had some girls working in the Subway. It was kind of decent, But I told them, I said, hey, I got to go out to, let me see if I can find out where that was at. So I flew in. What time did I get to Des Moines? I don't know. I don't know what time I got to Des Moines, man. I don't know. I could look and see. But I got some of the receipts. Yeah. Hold on. Let me see. Yep. So I got to Des Moines. It must have been around 10 o'clock or something like that. I went to Subway. I got a 12-inch turkey sub with a 21-ounce fountain drink and some chips. And I went to that Subway like, hey, I'm going out to this little hick town. And when I told them where I was going, they're like, man, why you going way out there? I said, I got to do some work or whatever like that. So I said, hey, if y'all, something happened to me, y'all I came in here. So I went to this place called 200 Army Post Road in Des Moines. And I'm looking at all the stuff I went and got. Let me see, where did I get my gas at in Des Moines? They had a Quick Trip. So that's at 6:05 p.m. I'm wondering if I got that gas when I came back in town or something. I don't know. Then look, October 4th, I bought a bagel, Chicago International Airport, because they had me go through Chicago. I had to go to and from Chicago every time, I went out there. And it looks like I bought a Big Mac. Where'd I get that at? That says Terminal 3 Chicago. So I must have bought, maybe when I came back in town, I don't know. Then it looks like I got a tea. O'Hare Airport Argo tea, a Kefir strawberry. That tea was fire too. That tea was. But yeah, that was. So I went to Missouri. I went to Des Moines. And I was helping with the Commvault project. I think I started with the Commvault project a little earlier. Basically, I was working with China, Latin America, and they would allow me to basically come on site. It was kind of cool when I was working with the Commvault project. This is the same contract with TCS now, 2015. I was doing the Commvault project, looking at the logs, and they reboot their computer and stuff like that, and installed the new Commvault agent. And then they started saying, "Well, we could have you go from out of town." This was the same contract when I was at T. I could talk about it now. I'm just going to keep it real. The first 2 weeks they was talking about, in order to stay on the project, you got to work 2 weeks for free or something. Basically make billable hours. So that's what them Indians was doing, just making billable hours. So I said, look, he was trying to do that to the H-1B visa people. We can't keep you on the contract unless we give Cargill these free kind of hours. I guess they were supposed to promise him some hours. And I said, I'm a citizen. Yeah, you're not going to do the H-1B visa immigrant thing with me. You have to pay me. So they let me finagle some of the hours. They're like, okay. I said, well, look, here's what you're going to do. I'll put in the billable hours you want. You let me come on site, work from 9 o'clock, 1 o'clock, noon, 1 o'clock, 2, I'm out. I'll work remote from when I get home. Okay, Derek, okay. You do that, okay? That's how they be talking. You okay? Okay, Derek, you do that, okay? So, I will go home. I push a few apps. I'm chilling. Then around maybe 10, 11 o'clock, I'd go and start working on the stuff for Latin America or China. And I'd work a couple hours. And it's not like you're really not doing too much anyway. And that's how they got their billable hours to bill Cargill. Because they're probably billing them for like 150, 200 an hour. And they giving us 40. And the recruiting agency, they're giving them 20. That's how that stuff works a lot of times. So I was done with that contract. And later on, I think it might have been 2016, I joined as a perm for TCS for a little while for some company through Boston Scientific. And what ended up happening there was it was out there in Arden Hills. It was a very, very volatile, I might do another video for this, but it was a very volatile environment. And they were talking real crazy to the so-called contractors with TCS. What ended up happening there, and I think this was still amongst the lawsuit. I must have still got the letter later on. What ended up happening there was one of the BA guys was making some real slick comments. And I was the only one to basically say like, hey, we contractors, but you can't just talk to us any old kind of way. So I started looking for other work. I start kind of calling in sick, or I'd have a little PTO or whatever. I call in, I go to the theater. And so they had a Sambo on me. I mean, they put a real Sambo on me. He tried to act like he was cool. So we had exchanged numbers before I knew he was cool. We exchanged numbers, and what he did was he called me up on the days I'd call off. Hey man, what you doing, man? What you doing? So I'd be like, I'm out sick, bro. But that's what they would have him do. And I found out about it. And he admitted it later on. And so I said, man, if you gonna tap dance and coon, bro, at least get some bread. Did they promise you like a lead position or something like that? Like he admitted that he was kind of cooning. And he's like, no, man, I just want to be accepted. And I'm like, oh gosh. Like, dude. I said, if you gonna tap dance, get some bread, bro. Get something. He just wanted to be, he wanted social acceptance. That's all he wanted. He just wanted a pat on the head, the happy Negro pat on the head. They buy him a little hot dog, give him some, he was, so eventually something happened because we were supporting the sales team. And the sales team, I think I had it that day. The sales team was talking crazy and we weren't properly trained to do whatever we were doing. And I was dealing with AirTouch or AirWatch for mobile device management. And the salesperson said something to me, and I was just like, I think I just had it that day. And so I pretty much told him to, I didn't say anything rude to him or whatever, but basically was like, oh, can you help me with this? And I was like, no, I don't know how to do that or something like that. And it pulled a string. They pulled me off the project and they had me sitting somewhere. And so they started asking me all these different questions about this. And it was like a real COINTELPRO interview almost. Like it was just all, they act like they were the police. And I said, you gonna let me go? I said, because I was go find somewhere else. Oh no, Derek, no, don't do it. Not telling you to quit. We'll put you on another project. And he's rolling his R's real hard. I just don't know how to roll another project. And so they just had me sitting in a room a couple of days and I'm just cruising the net. They pulled me off the project, but here's the deal. They had some kind of deal with Boston Scientific that they have to guarantee them to bring another contractor on or they could still bill them. So they were still billing Boston Scientific, but they were talking to me as if I did something to the project, whatever. It's like, no. So, because they didn't want me to quit. They wanted me to still come on site and just kind of sit in a chair. You see what I'm saying? And so what ended up happening was they had these, which I think they were suspected race soldiers. They were from Maple Grove. Because they remember they got a site in Arden Hills. They got a site in Maple Grove. I'm telling people, black folks, if you ever work for Boston Scientific, Maple Grove has a site. Arden Hills is a site. And I think there's maybe one more site. So there was these desktop guys from Maple Grove. They never really wanted to be in Arden Hills because they could just be white and present and mediocre in Maple Grove. Here, they had to come over here and actually do some real work. They didn't really want to train us in. They was talking crazy to us and stuff like that. And a lot of the contractors had a problem with it, but they wouldn't say nothing. There was a Sambo. There was a couple white guys that worked with us. They were cool. Then they had this Asian dude. A lot of them, they ain't going to offend nobody. They ain't going to stand up and work at all. So he's basically like, oh, man, just let it slide down your back, Derek. Oh, man, gets accepted. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to accept it. I just wasn't. And I'm not just going to keep getting abused and not say anything. I'm not going to do that. So they had an issue with that. They're like, okay, well, we got a revolutionary Negro on the team or whatever. So they found that out early. A dude made a comment. One of the business analysts made a comment about Fat Albert or something like that. And I had to check his ass. They didn't like that. But, so, what ended up happening was they pulled me off the project, but they still had to pay me. So eventually I told the guy, man, I'm about to go take some certification classes or something. So I just stopped coming. And the checks keep coming in, and they eventually, and that's why I came to my career. My career shifted, and I became a Citrix administrator for a couple of years. But for the couple of years, those first couple months or whatever, before I got on to start doing the Citrix support, I went to Chicago. I brought my wife to Chicago. I think I went down to Memphis. My uncle was having a birthday down in Arkansas or something like that. So I went down to Memphis, all on their dime. They had to keep paying me because they were billing Boston Scientific. They were billing them. They had to pay me. They couldn't keep billing them and not pay me. So that's why they didn't want me to leave. So they were paying me. And even when I was getting a new job, they still had to give me some bread. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say the game been good to me. The game been good to me. I wish I would have threw it in some 401k or some more investments around that time. But even around that time, 2015, I still didn't really understand exactly what rates and money I was supposed to be getting. You got to keep in mind. I wasn't going to college for this at that, I mean, I did take some classes, but I didn't get introduced into this game. I didn't get introduced in this game through college. I got it literally out the mud. I put myself into IT on my own merit. You see what I'm saying? So, but I still didn't understand the rates. I didn't look up the rates. I didn't know what the rates were supposed to be. I had an idea. If somebody said, well, you're supposed to make this, it might be way too little, but I didn't understand that, like that TCS position, I think it might have paid like 58 or 60 or 52. I don't know how much it paid. Matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? Matter of fact, when I worked there permanently, they paid me less. You're better off just contracting through TCS and not working permanent. Because if you work permanent and you leave, you can't come back. If you're a contractor, you could keep coming back. So that's my whole point of this whole thing. You might as well just do contracting through TCS. So look, there's a position, and I'm going to post this. So this position that I was showing the brother, oh, that's from November. Okay. But it's probably some of the same positions. But no, this position it's through Boston Scientific, and it's $25 an hour. So I'm gonna put this in the video so y'all can see it towards the end. What we getting at, like 26 minutes? I was only supposed to be on here for like 10 minutes, but it's free and y'all getting the game, so you might as well. I'm gonna post this thing with TCS. Let me find some little. All right, hold on. Yeah, Tata Consultancy Services. Now, they had one building that was in Bloomington at one point in time. I never really took any pictures. Yeah, I didn't take any pictures of it. But I got that job description and stuff. But let me see if I can find. I'm gonna show y'all the offer letter. I'm gonna show y'all the offer letter. Usually I don't show these, but it's old. It don't matter. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna show y'all the offer letter. Hold on. So I was a 1099 subcontractor. Yeah, I was a 1099 subcontractor. I started when I was getting $37 an hour. 1099 is lovely, especially if you got an LLC and you know what to do. You got to pay your own taxes now, but you could waive it all. And see, I should have been doing that. I don't know why I didn't do that, but like my reimbursement and all that kind of stuff, I should have been doing that. I should have used all of that, man. And it was through a company called USG, which was in Ohio. So I think I got the offer letter in July. So I'm going to show that. And then there's one more offer letter. The offer letter, when I started working, when I worked as permanent, how much was it? Man, it was 50 grand. It was $50,000. I thought it was more around that time. It was 50 grand. But it seemed like my take home pay was I don't know why, but my take home pay seemed like it, but they said your annualized base conversation was 50 grand. And then they had an annual incentive of another 2, but it didn't seem like it was 50 though, man. I don't know. So I'm going to post, I just want y'all to see it. So yeah, it was in Arden Hills. And I wasn't really there too long, man. I ended up interviewing, and I was taking time off. So that's the offer letter for 20. I wasn't there long at all. Once they start playing those type of games, and but see, that's what TCS will do. Unless you're in like a position where you're doing like application packaging or some heavy Azure administrator, whatever. But at that time, as far as I'm concerned, I was still paying dues. I was still paying my dues. I was still learning. So, I mean, around that time, 2016, 50 grand, it's 2024 right now. $50,000, that was more than what the average young black man was getting. But really, that was like a $65,000, $70,000 position, maybe even more for a company like that. But for me, at that time, I didn't have no money problems. I was straight. But that wasn't really no money. That's what I'm saying. And now, yeah, 50,000 is, I mean, you gotta have you gotta have streams of revenue to really survive and stuff. But that's my story for TCS. But if you're gonna get into TCS and you're a young guy and you're just starting, just go on and get up in there. Because you're not gonna always necessarily stay at that client. They could put you with different clients. They don't pay a lot, but you could get your experience. So it's definitely worth considering. TCS, Persistent. I did an API contract with Persistent not too long back. They paid well. Through United Health Group. They pay good. So Persistent is like the new TCS, managed service IT and stuff like that. So I should hit them up and see what they got. But yeah, I think I might post that too. Y'all check me out.